There was a change about 15 years ago, an inflection point, an occult symbolism being thrust into the public eye more than ever before. Bizarre rituals at concerts and live performances, and in 2024, they're still placing the symbols right in front of us, more blatantly than ever. The 2024 Paris Olympics just had their opening ceremonies, and they had Snoop Dogg carry the torch for the lighting ceremony or ritual. Here he is just before in his Olympic getup, sporting, of all things, a baphomet necklace. And if you're still unsure of the true significance of this figure, click this video here where I explain it. They'll try to say that this is representative of the GOAT, or the greatest of all time, but it's more than that. Many of us see through the superficial facades anymore. Take the torch lighting. The ceremony itself is a Luciferian allegory. It represents the fire stolen from heaven by the Greek titan Prometheus, because he cared for mankind. And in giving men this forbidden wisdom and knowledge, they progressed forward. The fire represents the virile energy coveted by the Nazis, the chi of the Eastern mystics, and the, quote, seething energies of Lucifer to the Masons and secret societies. Eat the fruit and you will be like God, the words of the serpent in the Garden of Eden. This archetype is transplantable over generations and cultures. This story is the culmination of good versus evil. We're in it. We're on that stage at this very moment, bearing witness to the cosmic struggle. Confucius said that signs and symbols rule the world, not words nor laws. I don't think I can even overstate how potent this quote is. First off, let's dive into this member of the Blue Man Group who decided to make a cameo during this Olympic opening ceremony. We're being told that this is a depiction of Dionysus, the Greek god of wine and debauchery and ecstasy. I'm seeing lots of arguments online about this guy's true meaning, but it's essentially the worship of pleasure. Few things are more satanic than this. This is representative of the sacrifice of your long-term benefit or short-term pleasure. Everyone that's seen this footage can't deny the hedonistic vibe of this ritual that they're calling a performance. Dionysus was also a god of vegetation, also seen as the horned god, which gives this Greek figure a strong correlation to the Green Man figure I've talked about in this video, and also this more recent one on the return of the pagan gods. He is painted blue here, I believe as a reference to the Hindu god Vishnu, who is depicted blue. This display is an amalgam of pagan deities. Interestingly, Dionysus was also associated with many cults, whose pleasure-seeking rituals forced them into the shadows, making him another revered allegorical figure to the mystery religions. This hairy blue freak show is laying in front of a very clear reference to the Last Supper. I believe they're denying that this is what they were depicting, as there were 18 people seated in the familiar formation found in Da Vinci's famous work, many of which were men in drag and a few children, complete with the center figure wearing a large halo apparatus with 8 points. The 8-pointed star is the symbol of the mother goddess, Gaia. Now, many Christians are up in arms about this image, but should they be? Well, yes and no. I'm just going to get this out of the way. It's not like Da Vinci took a photo of Christ and the disciples. He lived 1400 years after the crucifixion. As a Christian, It's not like this painting or any other is some sacred object or some definitive foundation on which to place our faith. It should be in Christ alone, not some image. That being said, I believe the people who put on this show had very purposeful intentions of mocking this painting that Christians hold in such high regard. The imitation of holy things has long been a calling card of these occult ideas. There's something about this that suggests a reverential perspective on their part. This is a deeply Gnostic idea for many reasons. One being that they revere the power of these symbols because they can invert them, twist their meaning, and redirect the energy in a weapon-like fashion against the church and even God himself. One other symbol that I thought was really interesting was that at one point on one of the other stages was the head of a golden calf. I think there's an entire smaller golden calf statue beneath it. I'm going to go ahead and apologize for the quality of some of these photos. I actually used AI recreations with a painting filter that makes them look kind of blurry and strange. I did a video a few years ago on the Commonwealth Games and the pagan rituals around that with the Tower of Babel symbolism and all this other stuff, and I got hit with copyright, even though I followed all the fair use rules. So I'm kind of finding a loophole here, hopefully. But as the story goes in Exodus, when Moses went up the mountain to receive the 10 Commandments, when he came back down, he saw that the Israelites had fashioned a golden calf. That is, some of the pagan deities that they had picked up from the Egyptians. This is Baal or Osiris, which the Masons are very big into Osiris. He's the tragic dying god and resurrected god of the Masons, ancient Egyptians, mystery religions. I also had to mention this strange depiction that they're calling Joan of Arc, I guess. This is just a still of this mechanical thing that it looks like the pale horse of Revelation with a caped figure riding on top. Of course, this thing is metallic and robotic. It's actually moving and galloping as it moves across the water, on top of the water. Not only is it pale in color, drawing similarities to the pale horse, but it's mechanical, but it also looks skeletal, death-like, something very uncanny valley about this thing. If you see it in motion, the videos are everywhere. Like I said, I'm trying to avoid copyright, so check this thing out if you haven't seen it, but chances are you probably already have. And I can bring in a point that I was going to make with the Last Supper sort of mockery here, that when they use these symbols, when they're inverting them like this, it's an occult methodology that they use. You've heard of, they do it with everything. You remember the satanic panic back in the 80s, 90s, early 90s, that backmasking was a big thing, that they could embed satanic messages or whatever kind of messages subtly by putting them backwards. They would sound like gibberish or unrecognizable, or the actual lyrics of the song. I think in a lot of Led Zeppelin songs and other, they I don't know if there's any merit to all of them, but I really deep dove into that as much. But they backmask and play these things in reverse, and the power of the reversal is what digs into the subconscious. There's a power there, that reversing things. Mirrors are big in the occult. I think it was, Nostradamus comes to mind, and he had didn't he have the black mirror and these mirrors and other things? They put things backwards. They write things backwards. They will perform rituals in reverse, and there's this power And in this image, he's over a pool of water. This Joan of Arc figure, which I don't really think is representing Joan of Arc at all, to be honest, but this figure is riding across water, and you have a reflective surface, and it's as above, so below. As within, so without. These are famous philosophical sayings of Hermes Trismegistus, or Thoth, who was supposed to be the probably the most revered figure in all of current occult circles. He is the epitome of that sort of sacred wisdom that's been preserved and passed down in secret. We see this in Alice in Wonderland, the story of the book Through the Looking Glass. There's something to be said about seeing things in reverse, or the inversion of things. There's a power there, a very deep occult power. Good is evil, evil is good. It really is a twisted gnostic philosophy and way of thinking, because their conception of God, I've studied this a little bit, that their creation, their idea of creation was that God was alone above the pools of the deep, the deep reflective pool of darkness, and he saw his reflection. This aspect of God became self-aware and sort of had awoken in the beginning. And it's this aspect of God. It's a binary force that there's like this, you see it in the black and white checkerboards of the Masons everywhere. It's like a shadow aspect of God that is just existent with God, but it's like this concept of necessary evil. It's as if they believe that these wicked things that they do, they know somehow that it is evil, but it's the way they rationalize that these things must be done. Certain things and people need to be, sacrificed. Many of the celebrities, musicians, athletes who have dealt with this stuff and dove in there and made that Faustian bargain and have, quote unquote, sold their soul, have already made this bargain, and they have to rationalize it. I don't know, these things are very difficult to articulate without going too in depth, but let me know what you think. Tell me if you think I've left something major out, or if I just explained something wrong, or if you agree with me or disagree with me. Or if you think that we should just join the mob and get our torches and pitchforks and chase these people, like it seems so many are doing right now. I guess my major point is that if we understand and unravel these symbols, we don't have to resort to those kinds of hysterics and anger and vengeance. We can just unravel it and we take the power away. It's sort of like a thing where the spell is broken once you understand the symbols. You can still be under their power, but understanding them most definitely takes the power away. I'll see you guys soon.